Vijaymallya, once hailed as the king of good times, rose to prominence as a flamboyant billionaire and businessman. He built a luxurious empire through his liquor brand and airline ventures, becoming a symbol of success in modern India. But behind the grandeur lay a web of deceit, bad loans, and unpaid debts that eventually turned his empire into rubble.
Vijaymallya is accused in a bank loan fraud case of over 9,000 crores rupees.
The allegations are baseless, and you will see our submissions in court. You're not going to get an answer. The answer will be given to the judge.
I bet he goes to bed every night saying, why didn't I pay the damn money?
This story unravels how one of India's most celebrated entrepreneurs became a fugitive, leaving behind a trail of financial chaos and shattered dreams. Chapter 1. The Rise of the King. From breweries to billionaire dreams. Vijaymallya was born into privilege, inheriting the United Breweries (UB) group from his father. Under his leadership, the company expanded its portfolio, including the iconic Kingfisher beer. Mallya became a public figure, embodying extravagance and ambition. His ventures included luxury yachts, sprawling estates, and owning an IPL cricket team, Royal Challengers Bangalore. In 2005, Mallya launched Kingfisher Airlines, branding it as a premium carrier promising unmatched luxury. The airline quickly became a household name, celebrated for its plush interiors and exceptional service. However, the business model was flawed from the beginning, with high operational costs and a reliance on debt to fuel its rapid expansion. Despite financial challenges, Mallya's public image remained untarnished. He threw lavish parties, mingled with celebrities, and flaunted his wealth. Behind the scenes, though, cracks in the foundation of his empire were beginning to show. As debts mounted, Mallya continued to borrow heavily from banks, assuring lenders that his fortune would guarantee repayment. The media adored him, often calling him India's Richard Branson. His flair for the dramatic and knack for self-promotion kept him in the limelight. But while the public marveled at his lifestyle, industry insiders whispered about unsustainable growth strategies. Mallya's confidence in the market blinded him to the operational inefficiencies crippling his empire. Through his larger-than-life persona, Mallya crafted an image of invincibility. He acquired international companies, secured sponsorships for Formula One, and invested in ventures that seemed unconnected to his core business. To many, he was a visionary, but to those closer to the truth, he was a gambler, playing with borrowed money. By the late 2000s, the financial strain on Kingfisher Airlines and the UB Group had started becoming visible to financial analysts, even as the public remained dazzled by his charm. Mallya's ability to blend charisma with business acumen was unmatched. He redefined how India perceived luxury, turning Kingfisher into a household name synonymous with affluence. Chapter 2. The Cracks Beneath the Crown. By 2011, Kingfisher Airlines was struggling to stay afloat. Mounting debts, mismanagement, and rising fuel prices had pushed the company into financial turmoil. Mallya's reputation as a shrewd businessman was now being questioned. The airline's staff began protesting unpaid salaries, and flights were grounded, marking the beginning of its downfall. Mallya's strategy of leveraging loans to sustain Kingfisher Airlines came under scrutiny. He had secured loans worth thousands of crores from Indian banks, using his company's already struggling assets as collateral. When the airline failed to generate profit, these loans became non-performing assets, plunging banks into financial distress. In 2012, Kingfisher Airlines officially ceased operations, leaving thousands of employees jobless. While creditors and employees demanded answers, Mallya maintained a facade of confidence, blaming external factors for the airline's collapse. Unbeknownst to many, he had already begun siphoning funds to offshore accounts, securing his personal wealth even as his empire crumbled. The Reserve Bank of India flagged irregularities in the loans sanctioned to Mallya, sparking widespread criticism of the banking sector's oversight. Investigations revealed how his charisma and influence allowed him to bypass due diligence processes. Despite the airline's dismal financial health, banks continued extending credit, hoping for a miraculous turnaround. By the time Kingfisher Airlines shut down, the damage was done. Employees faced dire financial conditions, banks scrambled to recover their funds, and Mallya's empire began to crumble. Yet, he continued to live an opulent lifestyle, portraying himself as a victim of unfortunate circumstances. This disconnect only fueled public outrage. As the reality of Kingfisher Airlines' financial collapse became evident, Mallya's credibility among lenders started to erode. He had managed to accumulate over 9,000 crores in debt, much of it based on hollow assurances of future profitability. The impact was devastating for public sector banks, which faced severe financial strain. Kingfisher Airlines' demise also revealed shocking management lapses. Mallya's overconfidence led to expensive decisions, such as an ill-advised merger with Air Deccan, which exacerbated losses. The carrier's rapid expansion into international routes without a stable domestic base further stretched its resources. These mistakes exposed Mallya's lack of foresight. As Kingfisher Airlines' troubles deepened, Mallya's public persona began to crumble. Employees protested outside his offices, and creditors grew increasingly impatient. The media shifted its narrative, questioning the ethics of his borrowing practices. What was once seen as bold ambition now appeared to be reckless financial irresponsibility driven by vanity. Chapter 3. Unmasking the Scam, the Web of Lies. Unraveled. As the financial crisis deepened, investigative agencies began examining Mallya's dealings. The findings were damning. Mallya had allegedly diverted bank loans meant for Kingfisher Airlines to personal accounts and other ventures. Reports revealed that he had defaulted on loans worth over 9,000 crores, making him one of India's biggest defaulters. In 2016, as pressure mounted, Mallya fled India under the guise of attending business meetings in London. This move shocked the nation, sparking outrage among citizens and creditors. Authorities issued a lookout notice, and the Indian government launched extradition proceedings to bring him back. Mallya, however, claimed he was a victim of political persecution. Meanwhile, details of his extravagant lifestyle abroad began to surface. From attending horse races to hosting grand parties, Mallya seemed unaffected by the legal battle. This further enraged the Indian public, who saw him as a symbol of unchecked privilege. As agencies tightened the noose, Mallya continued to fight extradition, using his wealth and connections to delay justice. Further investigations revealed that Mallya had been using political connections to influence loan approvals. Records showed how high-level meetings with government officials were used to pressure public sector banks into extending more credit. This aspect of the scam drew attention to the nexus between politics and big business in India. Chapter 4. The Price of Betrayal. The legal proceedings in the UK dragged on for years, with Mallya contesting extradition on various grounds. In 2020, the UK High Court dismissed his appeal, clearing the way for his extradition to India. However, procedural delays and legal loopholes allowed him to remain in the UK, leaving creditors in limbo. Despite his claims of innocence,
I am absolutely not guilty of any one of these preposterous charges.
Indian authorities seized Mallya's assets, auctioning properties and shares to recover a fraction of the outstanding debt. The government also tightened regulations to prevent similar frauds in the future. Mallya's downfall became a case study in corporate greed and systemic loopholes. Banks also faced scrutiny, with policymakers emphasizing the need for accountability in loan disbursement processes. While Vijay Mallya remains in exile, his story sparked an important conversation about accountability in Indian corporate and banking systems. Public outrage led to legislative changes, and his case became a rallying point for transparency advocates. Despite his continued denials, the evidence speaks louder than his words, ensuring he won't escape history's judgment. The scandal left an undeniable mark on India's financial landscape. Institutions scrambled to adopt stronger risk management practices, while the public grew more aware of corporate misconduct. The once revered king of good times became a symbol of corporate greed, proving that no wealth or influence can protect against the pursuit of justice. And that's the tale of Vijay Mallya: ambition, luxury, and downfall. What's your take? Fraud or misfortune? Drop your thoughts below. This is Read in the Dark, uncovering the truth, one story at a time. Stay curious and stay safe.